Welcome to this week's Dream Card judging video here at BOTB. We'd now like to hand over to today's lawyer from Onside Law who'll oversee the proceedings.
My name's George Cotter from Onside Law and I'll be overseeing the judging process this morning. Firstly, I can confirm that the competition data has already been sent to the auditing company as is. I would now like today's judges to introduce themselves and, using the secure link provided, mark on the screen where they think the ball should be. The group will then come to a final panel decision.
Good morning, my name's Matt Cannon. I'm a senior county referee and footballer.
Good morning, my name's Hugh Gilroy. I'm a referee, mentor, tutor and observer.
I'm Nigel Hicks. I've been a Supply League match official for the best part of 30 years and I'm an experienced football administrator.
Hi, my name is Ari Mendonca. I've been involved in football for over 30 years, firstly as a player and then as a referee.
Hi, my name is Matthew Ray. I've affiliated in multiple counties across England, currently Gloucestershire, and have refereed from grassroots through to professional academies.
Good morning, my name is Alain Goma. I'm an ex-professional footballer, having played for Paris Saint-Germain, Newcastle and Fulham.
Good morning, my name's Roger Wheeler. I'm a referee and I have been refereeing and lining for more than 30 years.
Hi, my name is Kieran Fitzgibbon. I've played football for more than 30 years and I'm now a senior county referee.
Hi, I'm Jenna Scalacci, former professional footballer. I'm now head coach in a Tottenham College programme.
Good morning, my name is Leo Donnellan. I'm an ex-professional football player, having been with Chelsea, Fulham and Leyton Orient.
Judges, please now come to a final panel decision. For your reference, the larger white cross is the calculated average of the 10 individual selections.
Thank you very much, George. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Morning.
Matt.
So we've got an interesting photo. We've got 4 players in shot, 3 in red and white and 1 in light blue who's at the back. And we've got some fairly good eyes. I'll start by, before I give my opinion, by drawing up from this player. We've got a fairly wide spread from here. This other player here, again, is looking up at the ball. And again, it's a slightly narrower spread from his eyes. And then we also have this player in the background where we can see again him looking up with his eyes. And we've got him looking either that way or a spread over to that way. Now I looked at this photo, sorry, and then I should also say that the player in the blue is looking across. I didn't personally think he was looking at the ball. I think he was more looking or trying to interfere with the player in front of him. So I won't draw a line up from his eye unless someone wants me to. I thought the ball was dropping in. I think it's in the foreground. And my principal reason for that is the player on the right-hand side in red and white is looking, he's quite settled, his arms are out. And I think he's waiting for the ball to drop into him. And the player in front of him, to his right, is sort of craning back. So I've looked at this like the ball's coming over the top of his head and he's sort of just undercooked his challenge. And I think the player, personally, to me, that on the right-hand side is favourite to win the ball. So we've got, Jenna, you're here to the right. I'm magnifying yours. How did you see what was happening with this big tussle?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the player in the front of the picture, he looks like he's in the air there. I think he's mistimed it and the ball's actually past him, coming into the guy who's got his arms out in the red and white shirt. So I took a lot from his eye line. His mouth's open. I feel like it's about to come into him. He's going to control the ball. So I felt that's why I'm slightly over to the right as you're looking at it. I felt the ball was already past the guy in the air.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And Leo, you're just to the left of Jenna's choice here. Again, yours highlighted there and then magnified now. How did you see what was happening?
Yeah, I slightly differ, Matt. I actually think I felt the player on the left. I think he's jumping to try and head the ball. I think he's leaning back a little bit because he's adjusting to try and get to it. But I think he's a taller player. He's in the air. So I felt he was going to head it. I put my cross a little bit to that player's his left, because, as I said, because I feel he's sort of leaning and he's trying to get to it. I think the other player in red and white, I think he's kind of blocking the player in blue off. But for me, I didn't think he was going to get to the ball. I think he's just there with his teammate. I think maybe, Matt, it's a cross that's coming in because there's so many bodies, maybe a corner or a free kick. But no, I think the player on left is jumping to head the ball.
Yeah, because it's difficult to see the player in the front group of the players in red. He's a bit in front of the guy on the right. It's difficult to see, but the players on the right hand side, his arm looked to me like it's behind the player who's leaning back, not in the same plane. If that makes sense.
Yeah, Matt, I actually felt the taller player, was in front.
Yeah.
So
that's what I meant. Yeah. Okay, lovely. Thank you very much. And I'll come straight to you, Roger. You're at the top here, quite a long way above the rest of us. And I'll put the highlighter on the top of yours. How did you see the photo and what was happening?
Hi, Matt. Yeah, I'd actually, similar to Leo, I thought this was probably because we got three defenders, I'm guessing, in very close proximity, and an attacker. This is probably a set piece. The ball's come in from the left-hand side as we look at it. And I had the taller player, leaning back, going for the ball, and I felt there was the ball was dropping in. He wasn't necessarily too close to it, but his eye line for me was the main driver in this. So I felt he was just looking up and slightly to his right, and as I say, a little way to go with the ball.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Roger. Ari, I'll come to you next. Yours is magnified here, and if I put the round magnifier over the top of your choice, which I'm doing now, if you could give me a bit of an explanation of how you've seen this quite complicated picture, please.
Yes, I agree with Roger and Leo with the way they saw it as well. I felt that the player in the left in the beginning of his jump, I think he's unchallenged. He has two teammates fending per se the player in light blue over there. So light blue player, he won't affect he's reaching for the ball. He's leaning back. I feel that the ball is still has a way to get to his head, and taking consideration the eye lines of the eyes of the almost every player, even the one in light blue. I drew one as well. I felt that the ball should be in that position.
Okay, thank you very much, Harry. Hugh, I'll come to you next. You're just slightly ever slightly over to the left as we're looking at this photo. What was your hang on this picture?
Thanks, Matt. For me, the player at the front with arms kind of out ready, I think he's going to win the ball. He's going to head it. I felt, it looks like it's a set play given there's 3 red and white players and blue player at the back. For me, he was just on looking, but I did take his eye line. And for me, I felt the player at the front was the favourite to win it, but we've said before he's got to meet it with his head, and I just felt he was kind of poised, ready to play it. So I took a lot from his eye line, which to me is looking over to the left of the picture as we're looking at it.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. Now, Matthew, you're next to Alain, who I'll come to after you, Matthew. I'm magnifying yours here, and I'll put the magnifier over the top of yours. How did you see the challenge and what was happening?
Yeah, I think I've centered my attention on the 2 players in red at the front of the picture. So for me, pretty much everyone is facing towards us and towards our left. And I don't think I think they're all looking at the ball, which means it's not passed over them yet, which is why I've placed it further to the left. And then I have also been influenced by the player in blue. I do think he's looking at the ball, and he seems to have a lower trajectory, looking across as quite a lot of white on the right hand side of his eye as we see it, and that's why I've placed the ball that little bit lower. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And Alain, as I said, you're just below Matthews. How did you see the challenge and what was happening?
Yeah, thank you, Matt. Yeah, no, I think the ball is coming. Is slightly in the foreground, and it's coming from the left side diagonally, where the players are facing. And I think, like most of my colleagues, I think the player on the left is going to head the ball. He's leaning backwards. He's kind of adjusting his upper body. And as you look at his head, I think it's turned slightly on the left. So I think he's going to head it or flick it towards his left-hand side. Play on the in red and white on the right side. I think he's focusing on blocking the player in blue, and he's looking up quite steeply. Yeah, basically where these two eye lines meet, this is where I thought the center of the ball was. I thought the player in blue actually was looking more at the back of the head of the player who is jumping.
Yeah.
So I didn't take too much of him.
Yeah. Yeah. I as I said at the very beginning, I agree with that. I mean, I have drawn some lines in because a couple of people have said they have taken a view from his eyes, so we can see the spread from that player's eye. So great. Thank you. Now, Nigel, I'll come to you next. You're in yellow. You're slightly the lowest of all the choices. How have you seen what was happening?
Thanks, Matt. Morning, everyone. So yeah, I feel the ball is dropping towards the player in the foreground there who's leaning backwards. I feel he's needing to lean back to let the ball drop onto his head. I think possibly he's out of all of them, he's possibly the one who's in the air. I feel the others are planted behind him on the ground. I think the player. The other player in red that we can see most of, I think he's trying to block off. He's got his arms out, partly trying to block off the player in blue behind him, but also watching the ball coming in and being ready to head it if it drops over the player in front. Yeah. I do feel from the expression of the two players in red that the ball is close to them. Certainly the player in the foreground is leaning backwards. The expression in his eyes and the tension in his neck and his jaw says to me that the ball's quite close. That's why I put it quite close to him there on that intersection.
That's great. Thanks very much, Nigel. And lastly, Kieran, you're the closest to the majority, the calculated average here. I'm highlighting yours, and I'll put the magnifier over at the top. Have you seen what was happening in the challenge, and have you seen what was happening?
Thanks, Matt. Yes, I more or less agree with most of my colleagues. The only thing I would like to add is, as you said, it looks like it's a set piece coming in here, and it looks like the players in red and white are probably the defenders, given there are more of them than the player in blue. And I think this player in front is stretching for the ball, and it's not clear whether he'll make it or not, in my opinion. And being the first defender, he'll be trying to get any part of his head on the ball. So it's not clear whether he'll get it. I wonder whether if he misses it, the player in red, as well as holding off the player in blue at the front, whether he might be looking into keeping his eye on the ball in case he needs to head the ball. And so I placed the ball there in that position where the player in red and white at the front may get the ball, but he may not, depending on the pace of the ball coming in.
Yeah, no, sure. I mean, I think it's important to note from a referee and footballer's point of view that we're sort of the majority of us are looking at this as a kind of a set piece, which makes sense from the number of players and the proximity they are to each other. And as you've said, and Alain said, and also Leo, and you're quite right, when you're going up to defend a ball coming in, just even that little flick off can help stop the ball coming through to an attacking player. So that's important to note. We have, obviously, there's an awful lot of lines here, and I'm going to redraw them all in a minute. I think Roger's too far away from the group. So I will remove him. And as it says, it brings this average slightly over to the right. And I also feel personally that Jenna is too far. So we have a sort of a tighter group with Leo's just popping out to the right at the minute. So from this, I will redraw the lines from all the players. I think it looks much better from the main sets of eyes that we can see. Obviously, Leo's is slightly to the right. And then I'll draw another couple up from this player who is behind, up through Leo's and up through the side. So it's a fairly small quadrant. I won't bother drawing it in from this player in blue unless someone asks me to. So what I'd like to do is to have a vote on whether we keep Leo's in. As I said, if I put the magnifier over the top, Leo's is just slightly to the right, and we ever so slightly see Hughes popping out the left. If Leo's is removed, it comes into the center and encompasses everybody. Part of the reason I'm leaving the vote to Leo is I just, personally, I can't see, if I highlight Leo's here, that the player in front is looking up that far behind him. So I'd like that to be debated, please, if I can. So I'll come to you first, Hugh. So just to clarify, this is to move forward and judge an average with, we have Roger and Jenna's removed by myself, and it's to see whether we leave Leo's in here. And I'll again put on the cross. And if you could please explain, if you do want to keep Leo's in, the reasons behind that.
Yeah, you kind of took the you kind of took the words out of my mouth. My main thought is I can't see that front red and white player looking that far to the right, whether he's going to get a flick on it or win it comfortably. Just for me, particularly that player at the front, particularly his right eye, for me is looking left. So for that reason, I would say the average without Leo.
Okay, fine. And next, Nigel, I'll come to you. You're just down here.
Thanks, Matt. Could I ask could you just draw a sight line from the player in the foreground if Leo's cross wasn't there?
Oh, yes, of course again, yeah. From this player here?
No, the other player. Sorry, yeah, the player who's looking directly up. Yep, lovely. Thank you. I'd just like to see, what the delta is on that. Yeah, it's quite a big gap, isn't it? Yeah, I for that reason, I would go with Leo's removed, I'd say.
Okay, thank you. Ari?
Yes, with the Leo's remove on this one, because I felt that the player in question, if he would be looking that way, he would face his head slightly different. He wouldn't be forward that direction.
Okay, thank you very much, Harry. Matthew?
Yeah, I'd remove Leo too. I think if the ball was just about to pass over the player in red, which it might still, he would be at the top of his jump, and I don't think he's quite at the top of his jump yet. So I would remove Leo.
Okay, thank you. Alain?
Yeah, I would remove Leo. I think the player is looking, the ball is in the foreground, I think, and he's looking, further to the left, on the picture.
Yeah, okay. Roger, I know you've been removed, but you do have some input into this, please.
Okay, I would remove Leo. As I said earlier, I think the ball's coming in from the left of our picture and still slightly to the right of the player in the centre. So yeah, I would take Leo out for that reason.
Okay, thank you. And Kieran?
Well, I think I'm the only person who disagrees with everybody else. I actually think looking at the player in front on his left eye, the right eye as we're looking at it, that it's looking a little bit more to the right. So I personally would have kept Leo in.
Yeah, I mean, as we said before, I mean, it does take it also close to your choice, which seems sensible. Okay, thank you. And lastly, Jenna, I know you've been removed again, but your input, please.
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like that pupil that you just highlighted is looking slightly out, so I would keep Leo in for that reason.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So with a quite a large majority, George, we've come to a panel decision to judge this with myself removing Roger and Jenna's, and as a panel decision, we've also decided to remove Leo's choice.
Great, thanks, Matt. If everyone's happy, please go ahead and submit. Great. Thank you, judges. The coordinates selected are 1538 1140. These coordinates will now be passed to the auditing company ASITS to calculate the winner of the competition, and they will then inform BOTB. That concludes the judging process. Thank you.